Hello, everyone, and welcome to Full Time, where we take you around the world of soccer, locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally. Full Time is presented by the Game Sports Podcast and powered by 91 Network. You are listening to Season 4, Episode 24 of Full Time. I'm your host, Daniel Scarpino, and with me is our co host, Gitano Gallo. Before we begin today's show, Full Time is sponsored by Little Caesars Pizza. With their two locations in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, you can download and access the Pizza Portal app so you can enjoy a delicious hot and ready pizza from Little Caesars today. We remind our listeners that recordings of Full Time occur weekly or bi weekly, and uploads to all of our platforms for public viewing and listening occur weekly or bi weekly as well. Folks, we are elated to have you back here with us on Full Time, where we get to talk about the beautiful game. G, how are you this evening, my friend?
I am doing great, Scarps. Middle of Copa America, middle of the Euros. It's perfect time to be a football fan. Beautiful weather finally today, so I am doing fantastic. How are you?
I couldn't have said it any better myself, and I am in the exact same boat as you, so all is definitely good in my neck of the woods. In today's show, we will look at the summer transfer market, Euro 2024, and the Copa America. As always, if anyone would like to listen to our previous content, please check us out at Full Time on the Game Sports Podcast and 91 Network. And without further ado, Gaetano, and to everyone who has taken the time to tune in here today, let's kick off. Let's get it going here with the summer transfer window, which opened up on Friday, June 14th. G clubs will have the opportunity to buy, sell, and loan players from now until September 2nd. We spoke about it a little bit on our last show, but can we be set for some decent news and moves this summer?
Oh, absolutely. You're already starting to hear rumors, from players performing well at Copa America and at the Euros. Already kind of having big money moves lined up, or teams kind of getting in line to make their bids. So yeah, I expect some madness at some point this summer.
Yes, most definitely. I think we can have a really, I would say, big increase from what we saw this winter, and something that would be comparable maybe to last summer and times past. So I'm definitely with you. And we are going to get into a few deals here that have taken place thus far to kick off the summer transfer window because it is incredibly early. The following transfer market news comes from The Guardian. So do check them out if you'd like to have up to the minute transfer market news. We start things off with Endrick as he goes from Palmeiras to Real Madrid for a fee of 38.8 million. The highly rated young forward will join Real Madrid in July with the fee increased to 45 million after his call up to the Brazil national squad. G, the rising star joins an already fantastic Real Madrid side. Your thoughts here?
Yeah, super exciting transfer. From what I've seen of him in Brazil and for the Brazilian youth teams, looks phenomenal. Um, and I don't know what it is about like South American forwards going to Real Madrid, but it always just kind of seems to click that little bit extra. So excited to see the levels that he's able to hit here.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm completely and totally with you. And if it doesn't happen early, at some point, I believe for Hendrick, it is going to happen because there is something to your point that happens with strikers like that who go to Real Madrid. Igor Thiago goes from Club Bruges to Brentford for a fee of 30 million. The striker had 29 goals in Belgium this past season and will join Brentford on July 1st after agreeing to a 5-year deal. Gee, the big question here is Igor Thiago going to inevitably replace Ivan Toney?
I don't think you replace Ivan Toney with one player, unless you go and get, a superstar like an Erling Haaland, someone who's going to bag 40, 50 goals a year. You kind of have to replace a team like Brentford has to replace Toney kind of by committee. But getting a guy who can score almost 30 goals in the Belgian Pro League is, a good step in the right direction. Obviously, don't expect that to translate, one for one to the Premier League. But even if he goes and gets, 10, 12 goals, like that's, a good chunk of what Tony's getting. And then you just have to split the rest of those goals up, kind of amongst the squad. But a good signing for sure.
Yes, and I think it's just a matter of, like you kind of said there, about putting pieces around him, by committee, not just one player. But I think it is a good step in the right direction for Brentford. Lewis Hall goes from Chelsea to Newcastle United for a fee of 28 million. The England U21 left back completes his permanent move. England look like they might need a left back. Speaking of which, right now, maybe I don't know, but regardless, what's your analysis here?
Yeah, interesting move. I definitely think. I don't particularly see him ever being, if Newcastle wants to be a Champions League team, I don't think he is quite that caliber. But I also think that, if he just becomes a decent bench option to play in the FA Cup, Carabao Cup, you know, it's like not a terrible fee to pay for him. English, there's going to help your homegrown quota. Still young and not very expensive. I think it's an all right transfer.
Yeah, the thing for me is that he is in fact so young, and I think that there is big potential for him. Maybe not right now or in the foreseeable immediate future is something going to happen with him, but I do believe that in the future he will come good. Hiroki Ito goes from Stuttgart to Bayern Munich for 25.3 million. The versatile left-sided defender has made 97 appearances for Stuttgart since joining from his previous club, Jubilo Iwata, in 2022 for a sub 1 million fee, which was mind-blowing to me. Gitano, what a fascinating story this is. What does Bayern Munich acquire as a result?
Yeah, I think they haven't really. I love Alfonso Davies. He's not exactly a left back. He's a left winger. He wants to get forward. But with Ito here, they're getting a legitimate left back. Someone who, in 25 starts last year in the Bundesliga, had a 7.13 rating on FootMob, only picked up one yellow card. That's impressive stats. And again, like 25 years old, he's not super young, but he's also not old. Like they can get some mileage out of him. I really like this transfer for them.
Me too. And for me, it's a big thumbs up to Bayern Munich. And I think that he's going to have a flourishing career there as long as he stays and as long as everything goes to plan, which I anticipate that it probably will. Davide Frattesi leaves Sassuolo for Inter for a fee of 24.9 million. The Italy international completes his move on a 4-year deal after making an impact this season. I'm a big admirer of Frattesi's game, not just from the Euros, but just in general. I think he's a very good player. And I think personally that Inter just got better with the fact now that they've landed him. But what do you think?
Yeah, I didn't realize he was only 24 years old. It feels like he's been around for so
Yeah,
long in the national team scene. So yeah, only 24 years old. I think this is a steal for Inter. This almost feels like a mid 2010s like Juventus type move,
yeah.
where they just go and cherry pick all the best Italian players. It's fantastic for Inter. I really expect him to kind of take off from this.
Yeah, me too. And I think it's good for not just Inter that we both just mentioned, but for Tazy as well. Charles de Ketelare moves from Milan to Atalanta for a fee of 21 million. The playmaker makes his permanent move to this club after helping his club win the Europa League whilst on loan. How pleased can Atalanta be with this?
Yeah, I think this is a great signing. He never really clicked at AC Milan. It just never worked out. After being pretty prolific in the Belgian Pro League with Club Brugge, had a great loan spell with Atalanta last season, obviously. So yeah, I think as long as he can kind of keep that form rolling, obviously maybe he doesn't have to hit the exact heights. That was a pretty spectacular season for him. But yeah, I think just getting a fresh start away from Milan, he's kind of cutting that tie, going where he's had some success. I think it's going to work out pretty well for him.
I think so too. A change in scenery and being somewhere where you might be semi or if not fully comfortable will be a good fit indeed. Alex Garcia goes from Girona to Bayern Leverkusen for 15.1 million. The captain and key midfielder departs in record sale for Girona, with Leverkusen beating Barcelona and West Ham to his signature. Your opinion here?
Yeah, so it's funny. He actually was in City's youth academy years and years and years ago. So I've kind of not followed him the whole way through because can't keep track of every single youth player that ever comes through. But he was one that I was like, oh, like it's just like not quite City caliber, but like just under where you're like not going to really break into the first team, but going away on loan and then eventually his permanent transfer. You knew he was going to be like a good level player. So super happy to see him end up at Bayer Leverkusen, one of the top teams in Europe. He's great. He's fantastic on the ball. Great chance creator. I think Leverkusen for all the kind of losses they're going to have this summer, because obviously the top teams in Europe are going to be wanting some of their players. This is a huge addition for them.
Big time. And the fact that he's going from Girona, where he had a heck of a season, now he's going to go join Bayer Leverkusen, who are probably set to have another good season. I don't think that they'll replicate what they did this year, but I think that it's good for him. It's good for the club. And Girona, I think, gets something out of it financially as well, which is a good thing. Matteo Guendouzi goes from Marseille to Lazio for 12.9 million. The former Arsenal midfielder has his loan move made permanent after Lazio secured a top half finish. Gee, there's a lot of positive talk right now in regards to this one, and I got to see him play at Arsenal, which seems like an eternity ago now. But do you like this move?
I don't hate it. He's never really kind of stood out to me in any footballing capability. Like his hair is fantastic, but like to me he was just like a serviceable player in Arsenal's squad at that time. Like he was fine. Like that's the best way I can put it. He was nothing special, but he wasn't terrible. He could do a job. Was nothing spectacular. But yeah, I remember when he was at Marseille, there was a lot of kind of hype around him, kind of revitalizing his career. I didn't hear actually a ton about him this season at Lazio for whatever reason, but obviously they were happy enough with his performances to keep him. Like I said, I think he's just totally fine. There's kind of nothing spectacular. I don't think the fee they paid for him is crazy good or bad. I think it's just a totally fair transfer fee for a totally fine player. It's yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good analysis, and to be honest, I'm a bit on the fence because when he started at Arsenal, he was so young at the time, and I thought, wow, this boy's ceiling is just so high. But even as the years have gone on, his game has gotten better, but I'm not sure that his player maturity, if that makes sense, has gotten better. And I just don't know how good of a season Lazio is going to have upcoming. And if they're only going to fight for a top half finish, I wonder how frustrated he's going to get and how much that's going to impact his game. So I'm a little bit on the fence, but I didn't mind him when he was at Arsenal, regardless of all of that. So I'm hoping for him that everything goes to plan. And as always, Gitano, we did not cover every single move that has taken place so far this transfer window. Again, we are still so early into the window, just a couple of weeks old, really. Are there any that have caught your eye that we didn't mention here?
So there was this French striker that signed for Madrid on a free transfer. But outside that, he's just kind of a nobody guy for, I think, a PSG bench warmer. Mbappe might have been the name.
May
I
have
think
been.
that was him. Yeah, I think that was. Other than that, I think that's about all of them for right now.
Yeah, and if folks are just listening and not actually watching and can't sense the sarcasm, we had mentioned this time and time again on previous shows, so we did leave it out. But yes, Mbappe to Real Madrid just makes that team, which is an already a giant, just makes it all the better. But yes, I am with you. That's the one that we definitely didn't cover this show, but he is there. And of course, as the summer progresses, you can get all of your transfer market news right here on Full Time. This is Daniel Scarpino and Gitano Gallo, and you're listening to Full Time on the Game Sports Podcast and 91 Network. A reminder that Full Time is sponsored by Little Caesars Pizza. You can download and access the Pizza Portal app for any of the 2 locations in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Have a delicious hot and ready pizza from Little Caesars today. The Euro 2024 group stage has wrapped up, and we have been, treated to 2 weeks of fantastic football for the most part. Gee, how did you enjoy the footballing frenzy that was the group stage at the Euros?
Outside of Group C, I thought it was fantastic. But yeah, Group C was not great.
It was yeah, dull and not very many goals to talk about there. But regardless, what we are going to do right here now is review the group stage that finished up, and we're going to talk about all 16 teams that will be advancing to the knockout stage. In Group A, it was Germany who topped the group with 7 points, and Switzerland who came second with 5 points. Those 2 teams will be moving on to the round of 16. Hungary finished third, and Scotland finished fourth, and they are both out. Gee, we both picked Germany to win the group, and you said that Switzerland would finish second, so you got those 2 spot on. Hungary and Scotland are both out of the tournament now, as we mentioned. What are your thoughts on Group A?
Yeah, I thought Germany just looked fantastic. After kind of a rough spell with Bayern Munich and kind of having his stock tumble, Nagelsmann, like if you're gonna, kind of have a comeback, this is the way to do it. On home soil, having that team. Like the best way I can describe it is, so international football is not quite the same as club level football. It's just tactically a little different. Like the German national team looked like a club team. It looked like they played together for 8-9 months out of the year. It was just incredible to watch. Very rarely do you see national teams kind of playing at that level. So yeah, massive props to them. And then Switzerland, their defense is solid. Manuel Akanji leads that back line. They have two great keepers in Summer and Kobo, and just Sheridan Shaqiri just shows up in national tournaments and scores because it's like Ochoa, the Mexican goalkeeper. Same thing. I don't know where they play for 4 years, but a major tournament shows up and they show up and play well. So yeah, I'm not overly shocked Switzerland got through. I had big hopes for them. Scotland were terrible, and getting eliminated in the 98th minute is just only Scotland could do that. It was incredible.
It was indeed, and there was actually a glimmer of hope for Hungary for probably about 1 to 2 days that they might get through just with that single victory. Obviously, their goal difference wasn't good enough, but I take both of your points on board. Germany, they looked a really good outfit, and I loved watching them play. The high pressing, the attacking football was fantastic, and Switzerland too. They were resolute, solid, and I think going into the round of 16, we're going to talk about the matchups a little bit later, but I think their opponent's going to be in for a difficult match. So kudos to those two teams for going through. Group B saw Spain go perfect with 9 points, where Italy came second with 4 points. Some incredible drama between them and Croatia in that final match. Gave me a heart attack, that's for sure. Croatia did finish third, and Albania, of course, finished fourth. We both picked Spain to top the group, and they did, of course. And I picked Italy to come second, and that did happen as well. It will only be Spain and Italy, however, who advance to the round of 16. As a result, Croatia and Albania are eliminated. What can be said, G, for Group B and the drama that took place for things to kind of finish off?
Oh, the drama, Scarps. That was one of the most stressful matches I've ever watched in my life, and it's a group stage game in the Euros. That was, uh, I mean, like in retrospect, awesome to have those kind of stakes in a game. Um, and it was awesome to see kind of Italy and Croatia battling it out, knowing that that result was basically guaranteeing one of them to go through. Obviously heartbreaking for Croatia. Players like Luka Modric, Mateo Kovacic, probably not getting that chance to go to another major tournament again. And just kind of having seen the success they've had over the years, kind of having that last minute goal kind of being the end of it for them. Kind of sucks as a footballing fan, as an Italian fan. So happy about it. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, Italy not making it easy on themselves. Even in the whole group stage, I thought the Albania game, starting off by giving up the fastest goal in Euros history. I was like 30 seconds late to turning the game on, and I turn on my TV, and they're talking about this Albania goal, and I'm like, did I get the kickoff time wrong? Like, am I just like, what's going on? I look at the clock and no, they scored inside 23 seconds, I think it was, 24 seconds. The performance after that, the other 89 minutes were actually quite good, and Italy played well. I'll always say, like, losing to Spain, as long as you don't get pumped, 4 or 5, like, they're a fantastic team. Losing to them is never the worst result in the world. I thought that Italy actually played pretty well in that game. But yeah, nice to see them go through. Switzerland in the group stage is going to be, the knockout stage is going to be, that's going to be a battle. That's going to be, I'm going to say it now, penalties for sure. Like, I think that's not a lot of goals. But yeah, overall, Group B, I would say probably the most exciting group.
Without doubt, and a couple of things. You made a ton of good points. Number one, Spain, you have to give them their flowers. They were fantastic. Like I said, they went perfect with the 9 points. I don't even think they conceded a goal. Yeah, for me, they were just phenomenal. Second point with Italy, to the Albania game, our text exchange can never be made public because that was wow. Yeah, frustrating would be putting it mildly. But am a little bit gutted for Croatia. Do have to say that. But in the end, it's Spain and Italy who go through, deservedly so. And Group B treated us to some fantastic matches, and Albania too. I tip my hat to them because they put out some good fights. In Group C, we had England to top the group with 5 points. Denmark did finish second with 3 points. Slovenia finished third with 3 points as well, and Serbia finished fourth with 2 points. As we talked about, it was a dull showing in Group C, and we both did pick it correctly with England and Denmark. Slovenia also joined them in the round of 16 as they get through with their 3 draws. Your thoughts here?
Yeah, this was just not good. The reality is England should have beat all three teams. Denmark probably not, beating them heavily, but still should have beat them. But just poor from England. Southgate just tactically is not good enough to be at this level. Yeah, and just he had weird squad choice as well. Not bringing a left-footed left back. The only left back in quotations he brought was Kieran Trippier, who is now hurt. So now
Right.
they're just completely short left back. Just yeah, leaving. Like the one thing that I will say is like there was a lot of times in these kind of three games where England needed someone to kind of come onto the field and just control the ball and hold on to the ball, draw fouls. And England's best player doing that, Jack Grealish, is sitting at home watching, I feel he's at the CFA right now training. So like he's watching from the CFA. It's just, yeah, questionable squad selection, questionable tactics, kind of, shifting Foden to the left where he's fine there, but he's best in the middle. Playing Trent in midfield, he's not a midfielder. He's a fantastic right back. He's not a central midfielder. Just England honestly lucky to be going through at this point. Just because if there was any other half decent team in their group, they'd be going home.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, we could have a whole show on England alone, but you go to a major tournament. I'll take the first point with Trent. It's not a time to experiment. You experiment in friendlies and in maybe some of your qualification, maybe behind closed doors matches. That's when you experiment, not at a tournament. Foden, yeah, he could play from the left, from the right. His best position's in the middle. Do you need to play as defensive and pragmatic? No, you got an amazing team, and you're up against, let's be honest about it, their group was relatively weak when you compare it to other ones. Uh, I don't know. There's a lot wrong with this England team, but look at how fortunate they are with the side of the bracket that they ended up on. And now I wouldn't be surprised if, now he's kind of forced into changes. If he does make these changes that he almost inevitably has to make, maybe bringing, Gordon to the left side of midfield and putting Mainu in there now, maybe having to play a Gomez as a left back or something like this. Who knows now? They might just go on a run and surprise everyone, and then the group stage will be forgotten about. But Group C was definitely a bore fest, to put it mildly. England do go through. We picked it. Denmark go through. We picked it. And Slovenia scraped their way as well. So there'll be lots to talk about, I think, with England after the round of 16. I'm pretty confident in that. Group D was a little bit surprising as Austria finished first with 6 points. France finished second with 5 points, and the Netherlands finished third with 4 points, and Poland come forth with just a single point. G, neither of us had Austria going through, so this is our first slip up in our picks. France and the Netherlands will join Austria in the round of 16 as well. What could be said for Group D?
Yeah, this is probably the biggest shock of them all. Austria's like they're a fine team. There's just like they're all right, but just in a group with France and the Netherlands, you just expect France and the Netherlands to dominate just with the star power in those squads. So yeah, for Austria to get the results and not just they didn't like squeak them and get like they played very very good football over 3 games. So super happy just in the sake of for the sake of the tournament to have an underdog team going through top of the group is great. I think France looked all right. Definitely need to find a couple higher gears, and same with the Netherlands. Fine, but if they want to actually be contending for Euro 2024, they need to kind of step it up a little bit.
I'm with you there. And in the case of Austria, Ralph Ragnick masterclass. United would have wanted to hang on to him now or something.
Well, between that, Memphis Depay being one of the top goal scorers in the tournament, it's like United's I think it was 2020 or 2021 transfer windows looking fantastic right now.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I will say though, the Netherlands, yeah, they do need to find another gear. I would agree with that. But France, for me, each of the 3 games they looked a little bit shaky. They didn't look themselves. So I don't know what exactly needs to be tweaked there because I don't, to be honest, pay close enough attention to the national team. I have been paying attention to Saliba, and he's been putting up good performances. But beyond that, I think for me, they've looked a little bit shaky. But yeah, those 3 teams do go through, and I'm interested to see what happens now as they enter into the round of 16. In Group E, it was entertainment delight as all 4 teams end up with 4 points each. First time ever that's happened in this tournament, by the way. Romania go through in first, Belgium end up in second, Slovakia in third, and Ukraine in fourth. So Romania, Belgium, and Slovakia will advance to the round of 16, And unfortunately, Ukraine, having the same amount of points as the other three teams that we just mentioned, they have to go out because of their goal difference. Gitano, again, it's goal difference that decides it all, but all four of these teams end up with 4 points each. Drama, pretty much in the greatest sense of the word. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this was insane. You know, for how long the Euros have been going in this format, for this to be the first time it's happened, it's insane. Um, and for well, three relatively like even teams and Belgium who just kind of looked a little shit. Outside of Kevin De Bruyne, if Lukaku could finish, if Lukaku could finish, KDB would have 7, 8, 9 assists already this tournament. He was just a step above everyone else in this group. Romania, though, I really like how they played. Just
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that from them. I was expecting very defensive, pragmatic, kind of hold hope and pray. But they were great. And Slovakia, again, just like not what I was expecting from them. Played really well. I think this group got sewered for the knockout stages. All three of them getting extremely difficult draws. But yeah, I was not expecting this from this group at all. I thought this would be a little more straightforward.
Yeah, and you know what? One of the points I really wanted to make here in relation to this group, obviously most entertaining by far, maybe apart from from Group B, of course. We both picked Slovakia to go through, and a lot of people didn't have Slovakia on their radars. I thought that they would come second. You thought that they'd be a good enough third place team, which they ended up being. So we did pick that spot on. But yeah, I love this group for so many reasons, and I will admit, of course, that I was gutted for Ukraine because you get the exact same results as the other teams, but it's only goal difference that lets you down. So really heartbreaking for them. But I'm sure that with the type of squad that they have in terms of age and things like this, I'd expect them to be back in the following tournament. And in Group F, Portugal come first, Turkey second, Georgia third, and the Czechs fourth. G, we both picked Portugal to top the group, but it's the rest of the group that really had it all to play for. It will be Portugal, Turkey, and Georgia who advanced to the knockout round. What can you say here?
I feel like we have to start with the Georgia Portugal game.
Wow.
I think wow is doesn't do it justice. That was, I think, that's to me that game is almost up there with Greece winning the whole tournament, Iceland's run in 2016, where it's just you know, and I don't mean to disrespect the team like that, but it was I, I I don't know even how to pronounce his name, the Napoli left winger.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
I don't know how to say it, but he had a wonderful interview after the game. I will say that.
Absolutely. But that was, again, I'm not disrespecting the whole team, but that was him willing that win to happen.
Yeah.
Just one of the best individual performances we'll probably see this tournament. Probably to me, that's an all-timer performance. Just incredible for them to get their first win, to qualify. Even if they had won and not qualified, it still would have been a great moment. Don't get me wrong, but to win and qualify, it's just the cherries and sprinkles and icing on top of the cake. It was just fantastic. I thought Portugal looked great in their other two games. They did start a heavily rotated side against Georgia. I won't lie. Most of the starters from the first two games didn't start that game. Pepe, though, what a player!
Dude, yeah, we were texting and we were saying it's just he's got to be one of, if not the best defender at this tournament at 41 years of age. Pardon me.
Every time I said this to you in the text, every time Portugal announces an international call-ups list, I see Pepe's name on there, and I'm like, why are you calling up Pepe? He's ancient. Bring in new blood. And then they get to these tournaments, and he plays like that, and it's that's why they call up Pepe. He is fantastic. And like I said to you, if it weren't for the Madrid fans and boards wanting the newest, shiniest toys, he could still be doing a job in Madrid when his prime, in quotations, there was a decade ago. It's insane.
It really is. And as you know, I did pick Portugal as we made our predictions last show to win this tournament. If they do keep progressing, which, I hope they do, because I like the Portuguese national side. I like Roberto Martinez as the manager. You can expect that Pepe is going to be one of the most important players in that team without question. And Turkey to come second in the group, kudos to them, and kudos to you as well, because you had them going through. And yeah, Georgia, what a story. What a story. Czechia probably let themselves down a little bit, but I thought that Group F for sure was an entertaining group to say the least. And G, out of all the teams in the group stage, who for you was the standout? Who for you was the best team in the group stage?
So it's hard to look past Spain because obviously they went perfect in a pretty difficult group. But just in terms of like watching the games, like Germany just it looked so good. Like
Yeah,
they're the type of team that like if Italy had drawn them, I would have been like, ah shit, like we're out. Like and anyone else, I'm like, Italy's got a chance here. But like I just feel like Germany's just rolling right now. Nagelsmann has got them playing fantastic. Yeah, I think to me, just by far the best team of the group stage.
and that's a wonderful shout, and I couldn't agree with you more. I am gonna, however, say Spain only because, like, when you think of Spain, you think of the tiki taka, beautiful sort of football, and the fact that they almost never have to defend because they have so much possession. I watched all three of their group stage games, and in those three games, they showed me three different ways that they can defend. Against Italy, we saw the high press and Italy constantly turning over the ball in their own third. That was unbelievable to see from Spain. Saw them against Albania playing a mid block and use traps to win the ball back in certain areas of the field. That was amazing. And then against Croatia, that first game of the tournament, I couldn't believe it sitting on my couch on that Saturday. I'm like, they're playing in a low block. They're hitting them on the counter. They're 18-year-old that's on the right side of midfield to hit people on the counter. It was incredible. So for the variety in which Spain has defended, because that's not something that we typically associate Spain with, I'm going to say Spain. They, for me, have just been sensational to watch. And yeah, along with Germany, those two teams for sure have been the most impressive. And G, who might be for you the sort of disappointment in the group stage?
We mention them a lot, and we could talk about it for hours. But England, yes, they won their group, but like I said, if there was any other half decent team in their group, they're probably out. For the attacking talent they have, to have only scored 2 goals in this tournament against Denmark, Slovenia, and Serbia, their front four, so it would have been Kane, Saka, Foden, and Bellingham, had a combined, I want to say it was 160 something goal involvements like this past season. And you're telling me that you got them to score 4 goals, or sorry, 2 goals in 3 games. Like that's just,
Yeah,
it's just awful. You know, and this is supposed to be England's, a quote unquote golden generation. And like, I just think back to like the Lampard, Gerrard, like that kind of group with Paul Scholes, like Beckham, and it was just like great individual talents, which could never put it together. And I look at this England group and I'm like, I think that's going to be the same issue. It's fantastic individual players, just an inability to actually put it together when it matters.
I looked at the four teams that I had picked, the four best third place teams to go through. I had Croatia, Serbia, Poland, and Turkey. So I got Turkey right there. Croatia, despite going out, gave everything. Serbia, despite going out, and as you know, they were my dark horse, they gave everything. Poland didn't have Lewandowski the first game, had a bit of tough luck, but still gave everything. I thought, I wonder which one of those disappointed me the most. How could I look at any of those and say that they were disappointing to me? The most disappointing team to me is England, and it's not even close. I'm on the exact same page as you. I don't care that they topped their group. The way that they played, I don't even know how to describe it. I've listened to a lot of talk sport radio and things like this, and yeah, they've summarized it way better than I ever could. We'll see what happens in the round of 16, but for me, they were shocking. And Southgate, I've always backed him, and more than most people do that I back coaches because I am one myself. I can't back what's going on here. He's just not up for it. To your point earlier, and yeah, it's disappointing would be an understatement. I would say I don't know what's going to happen with England. It's the biggest story of the tournament, I feel.
Yeah, well, I think it was Ivory Coast at the last AFCON sacked their manager mid-tournament and then won it.
And they won.
Like England, like it's not the worst idea in the world.
Yeah, I know. So people were calling for Klopp to come in or Harry Redknapp, and like at this point, almost it could be at least. You know what it is? I don't even think, and I know it sounds stupid, and maybe you would disagree. I don't even know how much the team needs to be coached. It's about just picking the right team and giving them a bit of
Yeah,
confidence.
Exactly. There's one bit of coaching that I would definitely say like he's impacting is John Stones is not carrying the ball or like progressing the ball nearly as much as he does when he plays for City. And like that to me, like that's not a John. Like if you put John Stones on the field, he's going to progress well. He's going to carry the ball. So to me, that's something that Southgate is telling him to not do. And I don't know how you look at one of the best ball playing center backs England's ever had, probably the best ball playing center back in the world right now, and say, don't do that. Just don't do that thing that makes you the best in the world. Like just don't do it. Like I don't get that.
And you know what else is shocking to me too? Like I said, we could have our whole show on itself, but everyone coming into the tournament, myself included, thought, you know what? The biggest sort of deficiency with England is their back line. So they're going to concede goals, but with the plethora of attacking talent, they're going to score a million. But the best that they've looked is in defense. Like Gahey, he's looked fantastic. I think Kyle Walker's done really well. John Stones, fantastic. Even at left back, Trippier didn't look half bad. You know, it's crazy that the thing that people thought were going to be most weak in their team actually is the strongest element of their team. But yeah, I think that there's specific instruction there from the manager. We're playing this way. We're going to play very reserved, very conservative, because otherwise those players in that team, you know that because there's City players in there. I know there's Arsenal players in there. They would not play like that.
No. Oh, the Calvin Phillips comment that killed me. So he after what is the second game, I think.
Yeah.
Gareth Southgate says, yeah, we never really replaced Calvin Phillips in this squad. And it's like, first of all, Calvin Phillips hasn't played in the national team for like 2 years now at this point. He went to Qatar, but he played only like a handful of minutes in one game. So that to me was just like a baffling comment. It's not like he played any time recently. But then also it's like you have Adam Morton, this 20-year-old from Palace, who's basically a better Calvin Phillips. You have Mainu from United. You have like Declan Rice. Like you have these players who are just significantly better than Calvin Phillips. You're just not playing them. Well, in Rice's case, he is playing it, but it's just not. Yeah, it's just a baffling comment. And it's like, and if you wanted Calvin Phillips so bad, you could have picked him. Like that's your choice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he couldn't get a game with Man City for obvious reasons. Then he went West Ham, and when he went there, he was just incredibly poor. But when he made that comment, my head almost popped off my shoulders. I almost felt like I was an England fan. I was like, why do I really care this much? But I thought to myself too, as again, I put myself in the coach's position. How much, or I guess really, how much confidence are you pulling from a guy like Mainu or a guy like Morton? Like that's got to kill them. Thinking, well, hey, listen, I'm here to replace a player like that because right now I'm just as good as he ever once was, if not better. It's baffling, and disappointment for both of us is going to be England, and we'll see what happens in the round of 16 game, which we're going to talk about here shortly. But yeah, we could talk about this forever, I feel. And G, who's the surprise team for you that went through out of the group stage?
So I'm going to have two here. So the obvious one being Austria winning their group pretty convincingly. Nobody saw that coming. And then also Georgia, again, just, getting that result against Portugal to qualify. Nobody really saw that coming. It was kind of a, not that they were there just to fill a spot, but it was just kind of, like Georgia's here for their first tournament. Like, great, have fun. Like, get the big show, get to, play against Ronaldo and then go home type of deal. So to see both of those teams go through is it's pretty special.
I would agree with that, and I'm on the same page as you. Austria, for the fact that of how good they played and the fact that they topped their group, they're the surprise one for me. And of course, Georgia, what a wonderful story there. So I also am with you that those two teams were the surprise teams and happy surprises at that. Excuse me. And to look back at our selections, G, we had to pick 16 teams to go through. You picked 11 out of 16, correct? And I also picked 11 out of 16. Correct. So again, the sort of stability that we have on our show and the fact that we often see eye to eye just kind of goes to show there with the selections. We only missed out on 5 each as we go just under 70% in terms of our picks. So how do you like that, G?
I don't hate it. So I didn't do the math this. I want to find out on the show, but definitely when I was driving home today thinking about it, I'm like, I don't think I did great. Like I think I might have had some questionable calls. So I'm about 70%. I'm very happy with.
Yeah, both getting to double digits. 11 out of 16, not a terrible score on any test. So I will also take it. And now, based on those teams who did go through to the knockout stage of the tournament, it is time that we look at the round of 16 and preview the upcoming matches. Again, one of our favorite things to do on the show. And before we sort of preview these ones, G, just at a glance, how good do these round of 16 matchups look?
There's some absolute bangers in here. The side that I'm looking at on my screen, it's the left-hand side of the bracket, is
Yeah,
absolutely stacked. So even if there's not maybe a great game in the round of 16, like the quarterfinal or semifinal should be absolute belters.
without doubt. And we're going to go into those games right here, right now. And the first one that we are going to look at is the one that we are going to be absolutely glued to this Saturday at noon Eastern time, and that is Switzerland versus Italy. G, what will happen here?
I already said it's going to penalties. I think the Swiss are going to, just be resolute in defense. I don't think they're going to concede very many chances. I don't think Italy's attack is kind of has that star power to kind of to break them down. Very much scoring kind of as a team unit. It's not it's not like back in the day when like Balotelli could just kind of pull a piece of magic out of his hat and score. So I definitely think this is going to be a very very tight, very nerve wracking game. It's going to be a long 2 hours for us. But I think it's going to go penalties, and Italy will win because Simone Zaza isn't in the squad.
There, well, that ball's still traveling in the air to this day.
Oh, absolutely. It never landed.
No, never. Hate to start it in this way. I also think penalties. I also think it's going to be very nervy, but I'm also taking Italy to win that. And I think it's going to be the toughest game that Italy have faced, even tougher than the Croatia game. I really rate this Switzerland squad, but I'm going to back Italy to go through as well. And I'm the same as you. I think it's going to go to penalties. Next, it will be England and Slovakia. All the expectation is on England to get it done, obviously. However, will they, Gitano?
No, they go out 2-1 to Slovakia.
Wow.
I have no confidence in this England group.
So I tried to play around with this since basically the matchup came out. And I was on my lunchtime walk today, and I'm like, how can I justify Slovakia winning? And I thought, okay, Iceland 2.0. He doesn't rotate the squad. Maybe Foden doesn't come back because he had to go back to England because of the birth, I believe, of his third child, if I'm not mistaken. I tried to justify it in every single way possible. I think that England are going to win. I don't know how, but as much as I want Slovakia to win, and I believe that probably in some way, shape, or form they could, I'm going to have to take England just almost out of reluctancy here. But that for me, apart from the Italy game, that's the one that I'm going to have my eyes glued to, and that's going to be on Sunday. So can't wait for that one. I love the fact that you picked Slovakia, though, and if that happens, I will be tipping my hat to you and buying you an adult beverage with a In another round of 16 matchup, we have Romania and the Netherlands. Romania get through here, and they're going to play the Netherlands. I think that this is a very cool matchup. Really looking forward to it. Who will prevail?
Yeah, I really like this match. I feel like this is going to be a very fun game to watch. I want to pick Romania, but I'm going to go with the Netherlands. I think they have more quality throughout. I think if it gets late, they're bringing guys off the bench. I think Netherlands have those players on the bench that can make an impact. I don't think Romania has those players, so I think it's going to be close, but the Netherlands will go through.
I'm with you there, man. I also think the Netherlands are going to go through, and I just base it on the fact that this Netherlands team, they have experience at the back, and I think that if it comes down to it and they need to keep the ball out of the back of their goal, they will be resolute enough to do so. I think that Romania is going to be good enough to sort of leak probably 2 goals, maybe a third, but I'm also going to pick the Netherlands. But I am looking forward to the matchup, and I have enjoyed watching Romania play this tournament. We will get to view Austria and Turkey, perhaps a matchup that most people didn't expect, but we are here. Gitano, who wins it?
This one, I'm just going on gut feeling, and I've got Turkey going through. I think Çalhanoğlu in the midfield is going to pull the strings, and I think it's going to be Turkey going through. No other reason than that.
Yeah, hey, that's fair. Got to go on gut feeling sometimes. I think that this one's going to go to extra time. I don't think it'll reach penalties, but extra time. And I'm going to say that Austria is going to keep riding this high. and I think that they're just going to get the better of Turkey. But again, this is a matchup that really nobody expected. I know I certainly didn't, but I'm happy that it's going to happen, and I'm going to go with Austria to beat Turkey. Looking to book their spot in the quarterfinals will be Germany and Denmark. Only one will do it, however. G, who do you have?
So I have to take Germany here. Like I said, have been the best looking team in this tournament. And as good as Denmark is, I think Germany is just a step above it, kind of in every category. I think it'll be a good game. I think Denmark's going to fight really hard, probably get a goal. But I just think Germany's got more quality and they're going to go through.
I'm again, I couldn't have said it better myself. I'm going Germany as well. I think Denmark will put up a good fight because they're a nation that always fights to the bitter end. But I believe that Germany go through on something like a 2-1, if you will. But I expect sort of an end-to-end battle and a really good battle in midfield, especially. So we're both going to take Germany in that one. Another game to look forward to in the round of 16 is Spain and Georgia. This is literally the definition of David and Goliath. But we have to say that, again, for different reasons, both of these teams, of course, deserved to go through. Gitano, who's going to move on to the quarterfinals out of these two teams?
It's so tempting to say Georgia, just, on the off chance that they do. But Spain should be getting through here. I don't want to say comfortably because I don't want to disrespect Georgia like that. But there's just so much quality in that Spain squad. They should be winning this.
I'm with you there. And I don't want to disrespect Georgia because they got through when other nations who we thought were going to go through did not. So they deserve to be here. But I do think that for Spain, they're going to look at this one and they're going to be sort of licking their chops, thinking that, hey, we almost have this in the bag if we just go out and play our stuff. So I'm also going to go with Spain. We also have France and Belgium to look forward to. Gee, this is a marquee matchup in terms of the round of 16, one that a lot of people are looking forward to. Some big names. Who do you fancy in this one?
It's tough because if Lukaku can stay on side for once, Belgium have a good chance. They've looked all right at this tournament. Obviously, like I said, De Bruyne has been playing just by far the best player in that squad. They've looked all right. They haven't conceded a ton. Like you said, France was shaky. I think there's kind of a lot of combustible elements in this. If if Lukaku, remembers the offside rule and France is still a bit shaky, there's a chance, Belgium could shock them here. But also if France kind of, sort their shit out and Lukaku is Lukaku, they should be winning the game pretty comfortably. I'm gonna go for the latter and say that France get their act together and I have them going through.
Yeah, and you said it in our last show that it's an embarrassment of riches in terms of what France has to pick from. I think with the quality in that squad, this is kind of that point in the tournament when they realize, hey, we're France. We won a World Cup and we got to a final of another World Cup and we were there at the Euros previous and all of these sorts of things. I think that France is going to do it. And I think that in terms of this Belgium squad, I think after this tournament, similar to Croatia, you're going to see some players going out the door, and that's going to be that. So I'm going to go with France as well. And finally, it is Portugal and Slovenia. Gitano, what might happen here?
I'm going to have to go with Portugal. Similar to the Spain Georgia game, with just so much quality in comparison to Slovenia. They should be winning this game. Portugal has a tendency to make it difficult for themselves, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's maybe extra time or penalties, or even just a late winner. But I do see Portugal going through.
Yeah, and on the balance, I mean, you said it there. It's just player for player, Portugal is better. But the thing that kind of gives me even more confidence that Portugal will win is that I would say 3/4 of their regular starting 11 are rested. And having that extra rest, I think, is going to bode really well for them. So I'm also going to take Portugal. So, G, just to review our picks here, you're going to go with Italy, Slovakia, Netherlands, Turkey, Germany, Spain, France, and Portugal. I'm going to go with Italy, England, Netherlands, Austria, Germany, Spain, France, and Portugal. So the only spots really where we differ are going to be in the England and Slovakia game, excuse me. And I hope that you're right for all intents and purposes. The Turkey and Austria game, which I think is a complete and total coin flip. That is where we differ as well. So a reminder, of course, to all of our listeners that the round of 16 matches for Euro 2024 start up on Saturday, June 28th, and will finish up on Tuesday, July 2nd. You can catch all of the round of 16 games on your local television sports network. And in our next episode of Full Time, we'll be able to review the winners of the round of 16. The Copa America tournament is another one that has caught our eye for obvious reasons, and there's some really entertaining football that we have been able to watch. G, how have you been enjoying the Copa America here to start the tournament between 1 and 2 games that have been played?
It's been great. The best comparison I can say, and I saw this on Twitter, was something like the Euros is like watching like a really like high level like hip hop like dance competition where it's like everything's like super tight and in sync and like kind of everything's on the money. And then Copa America is like a knife fight behind a sketchy like biker club. I know, yeah, both are super entertaining for totally different reasons. But yeah, that super sketchy knife fight behind a bar is basically how this Copa America has been. It's been fantastic. I've loved it.
It's a strange way to put it, but like it just makes perfect sense. And yeah, I'm with you, man. For different reasons, it's been a lot of fun to watch. Right now, Gitano, we're on the second match day, if you will, in the Copa America. So we still have some very crucial games left to play. And at the time of recording, there's some games going on as we speak. The United States are playing as well. And we're just going to have a glance at each group here, just briefly. In Group A, Argentina is top, Canada is in second, Chile is third, and Peru is in fourth. Great victory by Canada the other day. Have to say, thought against Argentina they were good despite losing 2-0. Group B, Venezuela, they lead the group. Ecuador is in second, Mexico is third, and Jamaica are bottom. In Group C, at the time of recording, again, the U.S. is top, Uruguay is second, Panama is third, and Bolivia is fourth. I may have to change that depending on the score of the U.S. game.
The U.S. lost to Panama 2-1.
Oh, is it over now?
It's over.
It's over now. Updated. Wow.
Like you didn't see, but I pulled up my foot mob and I checked, and I was like, oh. And as I was just waiting for you to get here, yeah, they lost 2-1 to Panama, a couple of red cards each. In the 83rd minute, too, Panama scored their winner. So that's huge for the outlook of this group.
Big time. So now with that, what are the changes? Does Uruguay go top again?
So Uruguay is top right now on goal difference, but they also only just have the one game played.
Right.
But their second game kicks off tonight. Yeah, about 59 minutes playing Bolivia.
Amazing. And I'm going to be tuning into that one as soon as we are done recording. But wow. So sorry to our American listeners. None of them on our show. We're not laughing at you. I mean, yes, we are laughing at you, but it is what it is. You'd be doing the same. And in Group D, Colombia is first, Brazil is second, Costa Rica is third, and Paraguay is fourth. Gitano, who stands out at this moment in time in the tournament, and who have you been impressed with?
Super impressed with Costa Rica getting a draw against Brazil. 0-0 was huge. Probably one of the better results outside of the 2014 World Cup for Costa Rican football, and kind of proving that Brazil side has a chink in the armor. They're human. They're not they're not immortals yet. And then obviously Panama beating the U.S. is just a fantastic result. And I will say that Canada's looked very good in their two games. The Argentina game, it's kind of two things can be true at St. I think Canada played really well, only losing 2-0. But at the same time, Messi could have scored 10.
Yeah.
Max Kerpo stood on his head. He's not quite there yet, but he's like entering Ochoa levels of like just showing up at international tournaments and being a superstar, because I've never seen him play like that at club level. He's always been like just a totally fine keeper. But his two performances so far have been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I fully agree with you there. And I'm also going to chuck in, I know it's still super, super early, but Venezuela, I like the look of that team right now too. And yeah, I think that they can actually make some noise in this tournament, again, even though it's still so early. But the Copa America does, of course, continue on your local television sports network, folks, with the group stage wrapping up on Tuesday, July 2nd. And in our next episode of Full Time, we'll be able to review the teams who got out of the group stage and those teams who will be inevitably moving on to the quarterfinals of this competition. So do stay tuned for our next episode of Full Time for that. This is Daniel Scarpino and Gitano Gallo, and you are listening to Full Time on the Game Sports Podcast and 91 Network. A reminder that Full Time is sponsored by Little Caesars Pizza. You can download and access the Pizza Portal app for any of the 2 locations in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Have a delicious hot and ready pizza from Little Caesars today. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Full Time. As we bring today's show to a close, we want to send you, all of our wonderful listeners, the most sincere thanks for spending some time with us. G, as always, a pleasure, my friend.
Yeah, phenomenal time to just be able to talk football with you. Glad we got to react to the U.S. Panama game together. That was great. Yes, looking forward to some very, very tough. Well, the Italy game, I'm not looking forward to. That's going to be awful to watch. But the rest of the group games in the Euros are fantastic. I'm super excited to watch those and then to get to talk to you again next week about it. It's gonna be great.
Exactly that, man. Couldn't have said it better myself. So on to the weekend we go with a bunch of footy to watch. And a reminder, of course, to all of our listeners that the next episode of Full Time will be recorded the week of July 1st, 2024. In that show, we will look at Euro 2024, the Copa America, the summer transfer market, and local soccer. As always, if anyone would like to, as always, we will keep everyone in the loop with all of the happenings in the world of football. For weekly content, make sure to hit like, follow, and subscribe to all platforms of both the Game Sports Podcast and 91 Network on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Podbean. For Gitano Gallo, my name is Daniel Scarpino, and thank you for tuning in to Full Time. We look forward to seeing you at kickoff next time back here on the Game Sports Podcast and 91 Network. Best always.